be sure to follow me on Instagram. There you can hang out with me and talk to me directly. What's going on, Rob? This is Guys, and in this video, we are stepping back into the cosmic side of the Marvel Universe for our Beyond Omega level video series, and we're going to discuss one of the most powerful beings in the entirety of the Marvel Multiverse, the Living Tribunal. Now, the Living Tribunal was created by Stan Lee, Maurice Severin, I always keep wanting to say Maurice Stevenson, Maurice Severin, and Herb Trimpe, and made his first appearance in Strange Tales number 157 in 1967. And in that first appearance, the Living Tribunal was not drawn very well. He looks kind of funky, right? He looks kind of weird, and he's not huge. Like, I expect the Living Tribunal to be like this larger than life thing. Like, hey, I'm like Andre the Giant, but skinnier, gold, and I have 3 faces. It's kind of weird. Andre the Giant, you guys ever look him up? He's like a gentle giant. He was like the nicest guy ever until you pissed him off. He's like Braun Strowman, right? Like, you look at Braun Strowman, it's like, dude, that guy is enormous. But I bet he's like amazing with kids. He's like a great big teddy bear when it comes to like dealing with kids. It's like, he's like the nicest guy ever. And then you like take his beer out of his hand, and then he's just like, okay, so like it's on now. But in any event, in the first appearance of the Living Tribunal back in the Strange Tales comics, basically his idea was to destroy the planet Earth. And the reason why was because the Living Tribunal believed that the Earth was really kind of a source for like all this evil and things like that. Now, of course, Doctor Strange basically convinced the Living Tribunal that there was good in the world, and ultimately the Tribunal chose to spare the Earth when Doctor Strange essentially said that as a Sorcerer Supreme, he can maintain balance in this realm, right? So this ties into the purpose of the Living Tribunal and is the reason for his creation within the Marvel continuity, which is to serve as a judge that existed since the beginning of time and is committed to preserving the cosmic balance of the multiverse. Now, in the event that a universe becomes unstable, the Living Tribunal judges that universe and enacts punishment, typically in the form of the total destruction of that reality, which is pretty heavy-handed. The Living Tribunal is so judgmental. Like, hey, your views are different from mine, therefore you are bad, and I'm going to destroy your universe. Like, dude, it's crazy. Like, it's nuts. I don't really like the idea of like the modern day definition of judgmental, right? Because that's really what it is. Like, if you don't like what I like, then that means you're judgmental. No, it just means that I don't like what you like. Like, hey, fun fact, world, not everybody's going to like what you like, and it doesn't make them wrong. It just makes them different, right? It makes them different from you, which is not a bad thing. It's weird how people can celebrate other people's differences so long as their differences are not too far from their own. It's intriguing, right? People are interesting in the modern day. But the Living Tribunal is comprised of 3 aspects, each represented by one of his 3 faces, right? So equity, vengeance, and necessity, which represent the principles underlying and informing the Living Tribunal's judgment, and all 3 faces must agree in order for the Living Tribunal to act. Now, one thing that makes the Living Tribunal different than other cosmic entities in the Marvel Universe is that he exists on a multiversal level instead of a universal level. And what I mean by that is, since the Marvel Multiverse is made up of an infinite number of distinctly different universes, a version of most of the cosmic entities exists in each one of those universes. So there's a version of Eternity in the main Marvel Universe. There's a version of Eternity in the Ultimate Universe, and so on and so forth. The same with the other entities like the Watcher and Galactus, but there's only one Living Tribunal in the entire multiverse, and he exists in a place called the Star Chamber, which seems to be a distinct section of the multiverse that's not part of any one particular universe, but basically serves as the Living Tribunal's base of operations and the courtroom from which he passes his universal judgment. Fun fact, it's also the place where the Living Tribunal watches the Golden Girls. The problem with this is that the Living Tribunal has been very, very angry because he went to turn on the Golden Girls one day, and he was told this show is not available in your geographical location. He was geo-locked from watching the Golden Girls, but he found a way to get around it. And when you're asking the question how it was that he did that, it's because the Living Tribunal used Surfshark VPN, hashtag sponsored video. So if you guys are anything like the Living Tribunal, you guys like to watch your favorite TV shows while you're traveling, right? But the problem is that streaming libraries in different locations can all change based on where it is that you're at. So Surfshark lets you access more than a dozen different Netflix as well as other entertainment libraries such as Hulu, Amazon Prime, HBO, and many, many more. In addition to that, price discrimination is a widespread tactic of flight ticket sales, hotel and apartment booking portals, as well as car rental providers. People from different countries and IP addresses get to see different prices, so you might be surprised how much you can save on plane tickets or apartment bookings with Surfshark VPN. Now, if you guys still aren't convinced, Surfshark can be used on as many devices as you like, even all of them at the same time. No other VPN allows this. So if you're digging Surfshark, then for $47.76, which is $1.99 a month, you guys can get a 2-year plan and 1 additional month for free. Now, currently it's the best price for a premium privacy protection service on the entirety of the market. So make sure you guys go check out the link in the description. Make sure you guys check out Surfshark VPN. And as far as the powers of the Living Tribunal, because it's so incredibly powerful, because he can do so much, it's really hard to boil down everything that he's capable of to a single list of powers, because he can basically do anything he wants. He's able to warp reality, he possesses omniscience, omniscience, and near omnipotence. He's able to summon other powerful cosmic entities such as the In-Betweener at will. The Living Tribunal was able to turn the Silver Surfer into a god by simply allowing the Silver Surfer to touch the void that exists on the side of the Living Tribunal's head where there is no face. The Living Tribunal is also able to manipulate time and even make time come to a standstill throughout the entirety of the universe. Similarly, he can speed up time to the point of accelerating the death of a sun, which on its own is a process that would take billions of years. One of the most impressive displays of the Living Tribunal's power occurred when his judgment stopped the assembled Infinity Stones, which, as you probably know, are capable of altering the very fabric of reality. Later, he would render another judgment that would return the stone's power to them. In another of the Living Tribunal's judgments, he considers whether to allow the Beyonder to retain his omnipotence within his own universe, suggesting that he's able to take powers away from omnipotent beings. He decides to allow the Beyonder to keep his power, but seals him inside of his own reality so that he cannot interfere with alternate universes. In another instance of the Living Tribunal's judgment, he must decide whether to replace the 616th universe with the Ultimate Universe, and he decides against it, but the fact that he was even contemplating doing this shows us how powerful he can be, that he's able to replace one universe with another. He was also able to absorb the Protege, a being that had duplicated the Tribunal's own power and attempted to usurp the One Above All and pretty much become the top being in all of reality. And so it's widely believed that the Living Tribunal is the second most powerful entity in Marvel Comics, with only the One Above All being more powerful. Now, when Thanos wields the Infinity Gauntlet, which gives him insight into the inner workings of the universe, he confirms the Tribunal's place as the second most powerful entity in existence. And because we know the Tribunal ranks so high on the power hierarchy and that he can make and unmake universes if he chooses to do so, we know the Tribunal is well beyond Omega level. Here's a funny thing though, like back when that whole Infinity Gauntlet thing was made, that was back before like the Beyonders showed up, and that was before the Marquis of Death. Here's my question: how does the Marquis of Death rank next to the Living Tribunal, right? Like the Marquis of Death was a guy who was hopping and skipping through universes and wiping them out with a wave of his hand. It was ridiculous how powerful he is. Honestly, I'd probably say the Marquis of Death was equal to the power of the Living Tribunal, which then begs the question, why wasn't the Living Tribunal invoked during the story that involved the Marquis of Death? Because plot device, that's why. Because the Marquis of Death was a story that wanted to be told by Marvel, and it didn't make any sense to bring the Living Tribunal in because they didn't want to, and that's basically it. The Living Tribunal is what we in Marvel Comics refer to as a plot device. It's basically a being that exists to serve the purpose of wrapping up a story or transitioning from one story to the next. And yes, it sucks, but that's usually just the way it is. That's the way Marvel Comics works. It doesn't always work logically. If there was some kind of imbalance in the universe as a result of the actions of some individual, the Living Tribunal would show up a lot more often than it does, and it would fix things, and that would basically be the end of that. But in order to be able to tell some measure of an interesting story, the Living Tribunal is not invoked, which in reality, the Living Tribunal showing up and basically fixing everything at the end of the Marquis of Death story probably would have sucked. Because dude, the way that story ended was legit. Dude, I love the story of the Marquis of Death. If you don't know who I'm talking about, check the video down in the description. That dude is broken. Dude, he is so OP. It's insane. He's like any of the guns he's like the Prometheus lens introduced in Destiny 2 on the first day. Dude, Crucible turned into laser tag. It was the most fun ever. And then Bungie did what Bungie does and screw up something awesome. They basically fixed it. And it was like, why would you do that? Just like take Prometheus lens out of everything and then throw it into its own Crucible playlist and say, here you go guys, just go play the Prometheus lens playlist and just have fun with it, right? Like the Prometheus lens is not in Crucible, it's not in PvE. Like literally you just can't use it in anything except for that one Crucible playlist. Dude, I play that playlist all the time, man. It was amazing. It was like it would be the coolest thing ever. But nonetheless, the Living Tribunal is super powerful. It's a very capable being. However, it's kind of a misnomer to say it's the second most powerful being in all of Marvel Comics, right? Because you've got the Beyonders, which obliterated the Living Tribunal. Going toe-to-toe, one Beyonder versus the Living Tribunal? Maybe. If you're talking about pre-retcon Beyonder from Secret Wars, it was more powerful than the Living Tribunal. But like, if you're talking about consistently appearing characters in Marvel Comics, with the exception of like, and leaving out like one-offs, right? Like the Beyonders from Hickman's Avengers and New Avengers, the original Beyonder from Secret Wars 1 and 2, and kind of Secret Wars 3 and the Fantastic Four story, the character of Protege who existed only in a 6-issue story arc. If this is what you're talking about, like those specialty characters that appear for a really short amount of time, then no, the Living Tribunal is not the second most powerful character to have ever appeared in the history of Marvel Comics. But in terms of consistently appearing characters, yes, it's just that powerful. It's kind of interesting, right? The Living Tribunal is super powerful. I would say that the Phoenix Force is probably next to the Living Tribunal in terms of power, right? So you've got like the One Above All, and then under the One Above All, you've got like the Phoenix Force and the Living Tribunal. And then under them, you probably have Oblivion, and then under that, you have the other cosmic entities and so on. I don't know. I've got a Marvel power hierarchy, but I feel like I should make a new one based on all the information that's come out now. Anyway, we've rambled long enough. We've talked long enough about nonsense. With that being said, guys, we're going to bring this video to an end. If you are new here to Comics Explained, make sure you guys hit the sub button to become part of the Rob Corps. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you drop a like, and I will catch you all later. Peace.